UFC on ESPN, UFC on ESPN 38, UFC Fight Night, I don't know what number, as well as UFC Vegas 57. These are all the same event this weekend. UFC on ESPN, Tsarukyan versus Gamrot. Let's see, it's going down on Saturday, June 25th at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. Let's see, we have in the main event Tsarukyan versus Mateusz Gamrot. But first, let's talk about a few other fights. But before we get into the ones that we are going to sort of dissect a little bit, guys, any honorable mentions or fights or fighters that you guys want to spotlight for our listeners and viewers to make sure that they tune in for these fights this weekend?
There's a few fights. There's a few names on here. I'll let you go, I guess, a little bit more in depth, but I'll just shoot off a couple names. Brian Kelleher is going to be on this card. Howling Paiva is going to be on this card. TJ Brown, Carlos Oldberg is going to be on this card. All guys that are, frankly, kind of a good time when they get matched up properly. But yeah, those are just a couple of names that I could throw out.
Nice.
Yeah, another big name that I think that you didn't even say is Thiago Moises is on this card fighting Christos Giagos. That should be a good one. I agree about TJ Brown. I think he has looked good lately. I think that's a name to watch. But yeah, the one I was going to highlight. Kelleher's fighting Mario Bautista, who I like as well. I think that's a good fight. Yeah. Nice. Well, yeah, the one I was going to highlight is Helian Paiva against Sergey Morozov. Obviously, we have seen what Paiva can do. Morozov is the dude who was whooping Douglas Silva de Andrade a few months back until that fight swung wildly. But he gets another chance here against a pretty big name, and we'll see if maybe he can not slip up in this one and jump himself significantly up the ranks.
Okay. That being said, folks, let us dive into a few of these fights. I think we're going to talk about 4 of them. Opening the main card on ESPN and ESPN Plus in the middleweight division, Chris Curtis takes on Rodolfo Vieira. Omar, let me throw it over to you first this time. What's your take on Chris Curtis looking for another win? I believe this would be number 3 for him in the UFC against a very tough guy, very tough jiu-jitsu guy in Rodolfo Vieira.
Yeah, I like Chris Curtis, man. He's not unhittable, that's for sure. But I like him. I like his style. I like the way that he is very tenacious in his approach. Definitely coming to knock somebody out. He's not looking for a decision. It's definitely not the way that he fights. But he's definitely vulnerable in certain spots. And the fact is that he is a beatable person. But the same could be said for Rodolfo Vieira as well. I guess if I had to choose between the two, I think I'm going to go Chris Curtis by knockout round 2.
Mark?
So tight odds on this one. Chris Curtis is minus 135. Rodolfo Vieira is plus 115. I'm not entirely sure what Rodolfo Vieira did to make this kind of jump. And I guess Chris Curtis isn't ranked anymore. I just looked, but he was very recently ranked. I don't know why he fell out. But yeah, it's kind of a big opportunity for Rodolfo Vieira. But with that said, I think it's kind of an unfortunate matchup for Chris Curtis. I know I've picked against this man every damn time, but I just think Rodolfo can wade through what he needs to wade through. And once he's grappling, the advantage is so huge, in my opinion. He's the bigger guy. He's the stronger guy. Curtis used to be a welterweight. Vieira is a monstrous middleweight. He seems to be improving himself lately. He's fighting calmer. His cardio looks better. I just think he can get inside and find his way to a choke or something of that sort. So I'll go Vieira round 2 sub, and I will say if I'm wrong about Chris Curtis again, I swear I will pick him in his next fight if it's against Ngannou.
I'm actually with you. I think stylistically, I think Vieira is a guy with such a BJJ pedigree that it's going to be trouble for Chris Curtis. So I'm going to go with Vieira by submission in round number 3.
Oh boy, Omar's going to look either really cool or really fucking stupid.
All right, folks, marching up this main card for UFC Fight Night, Tsarukyan versus Gamrot. In the bantamweight division, Nate Maness takes on Umar Nurmagomedov. Omar, let me start with you this time first. Actually, let's go to Mark this time. I think I started with Omar last time. Mark, what's your assessment of Maness versus Nurmagomedov?
So Umar is a casual minus 1,000 favorite. Nate Maness is
Christ.
plus 600.
Jesus.
Nate Maness is a dog. Like, such a
Yeah.
dog that I honestly feel weird for not even considering picking him here. And I think I'm going to have to sprinkle him at plus 600 because it's kind of wild seeing Nate Maness at plus 600. So I might have to put something on that, but you can't actually pick against Umar Nurmagomedov right now. The man is 14-0. He looks every bit the real deal. I think he only makes that more apparent in this fight. Maness can wrestle. He can scramble. So maybe he makes it so that this isn't easy, but I still think Umar finds it eventually. Maybe in a scramble. I don't think it's like a hold Maness down type of fight. I could be wrong. I'm kind of more seeing like a scramble where Umar catches something, maybe even a club and sub. Something like that. I will say Umar does eventually find the sub round 3.
Omar?
I also agree with you. I kind of agree it's going to be like a like one of those Brandon Royval kind of fights where they're just on the ground rolling around like crazy people. But I don't think this goes 3 rounds. I actually think they get scrappy from the first minute of the bell. I think this becomes a submission round 1, Umar Nurmagomedov.
As soon as the word 3 came out of my mouth, I actually wished that I had said 2, but too late.
And that is the round that I will go with, gentlemen. We have 1, 2, and 3. We make it complete. It's Nurmagomedov by strangulation, pretty much. Okay, in the co-main event of UFC Fight Night Tsarukyan versus Gamrot in the welterweight division of Fun One, Neil Magny welcoming Shavkat Rakhmonov to the upper echelon of the welterweight division. Boy, oh boy. Every time Rakhmonov steps into the cage, I am just salivating at seeing this guy put his skills on display. Omar, let me start with you this time. What's your assessment of Magny Rakhmonov?
I hate picking against Magny because it's almost like never a good decision to pick against Magny. Unless
so curious if you would.
Magny's the guy, like, unless I really think you're about to hit, the top tier somewhere at some point, do I pick against Magny? But this kid looks like such an animal, though. He looks like such a beast.
He does.
And honestly, if you put a gun to my head and ask me, do I think this kid could potentially at least hit the top 5, at least hit it, I would probably say yes. And so with that in mind, I'm going to go with Rakhmonov for the win. But I'm going to give my man Magny his respect. And I'm going to go with Rakhmonov by decision.
Mark?
And that's knowing all the TKOs and finishes he has on display.
So you may be surprised to hear these odds. They're wider than I thought they would be. Rakhmonov is minus 420, and Neil Magny's plus 320.
Wow.
I didn't
That
think
was
it was
rude.
Wow.
I thought it'd be like 2-1. That's big.
Disrespect.
Little disrespectful to my man Magny.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm going to pile on because I'm not picking him either. First of all, it's a perfect fight. Shavkat is 15-0. He looks unbelievable. Let's see what it is. We're going to find out right now. Like we're all kind of saying, Neil is so good, but we've seen Neil be beat, and I truly have not seen Shavkat sweat yet. Like, it's been 3 fights, and he walked in the park through all 3 of them, and I think I actually just pulled up his record. Were they all first-round finishes? No, one went into the second. But, it has not been hard. It's very rare that you see a guy look like he is finishing people with such ease. So it's kind of impossible for me to pick against it. The one interesting point is that they're both very used to having a significant reach advantage because they're both long guys. I think Magny still has it here by 2 or 3, but obviously he's used to having it by more. So that'll be an adjustment for both. Shavkat is the quicker guy, so I think maybe that will help him adjust more than Magny will be able to adjust. And we did just see Neil Magny almost lose a card to Max Griffin. So I got to go with Shavkat here. The potential is too high, and I'll say he finds a finish round 2 TKO.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, it might have been mentioned, and I think it bears repeating. Shavkat Rakhmonov, not only is he undefeated with 15 victories and no defeats. He has not won a fight by decision.
Oh, wow.
All 15 of his professional fights, he has yet to go to the scorecards. He has 8 knockouts and 7 submission victories. My goodness. I think that kind of, Mark, sheds a little light on why the odds might seem a little surprising. They're surprising to me. And I still think that's a little disrespectful to Neil Magny.
Yeah.
That being said, this does feel like a little bit of a gatekeeper fight for Neil Magny, stepping into a little
100%.
bit of a gatekeeper role.
Yeah.
And it's hard to not take Rakhmonov in this fight, and I will, and I think he's gonna TKO Neil Magny. Let's go second round.
Same as me.
Neil Magny is a gatekeeper, but the motherfucker is the best gatekeeper that we've ever seen.
He really is.
The best.
He fills the role admirably.
I don't think we won't see Neil Magny winning a belt anytime soon.
This is
why. You won't see any bitches in the top 10 of the welterweight division. I can tell you that. Every
Neil
one of
Magny-
them is going to be true, tried, and tested.
Yeah.
Neil Magny has lost 2 in a row only once in his career, almost a decade ago. Since then, he wins a bunch of fights and then loses 1, and then wins 3 more and then loses 1, and he repeats this process. Right now, he's coming into this weekend having defeated Jeff Neal and Max Griffin, 2 good welterweights, and then he's going to go up against Shavkat, and we'll see.
I mean, look at the guys he's lost to, though. Michael Chiesa, Ponzinibbio, Rafael Dos Anjos, Lorenz Larkin, Damian Maia. I mean, these are not this is not like, random ass people that have been pulled off the street, making their debut and beating Neil Magny. Like, if you want to get to the top 10 of the welterweight division, you need to go through Neil Magny. And not everybody can.
I'm looking now. I was curious how many of those guys finished Magny. Pretty much everyone you just said.
Yeah.
But,
He's gotten caught in a few of them, especially that Ponzinibbio one.
Yeah.
And the Lorenz Larkin one. He got caught with a nasty elbow in that one.
But point remains, this is why if Rakhmonov does finish Magny, it is, it's time to recognize the guy as a real threat.
100%.
Absolutely. Neil Magny is a guy who has wins over Carlos Condit, Kelvin Gastelum, Hector Lombard, Johnny Hendricks, Robbie Lawler.
I forgot he beat Lawler.
It's a serious
dude.
man. I mean, he beat Lawler in 2020, so it wasn't like
Yeah.
the Lawler run, but still. Yeah. Well, anything else you guys want to mention about this card? Or
The
this
main
fight?
event could be good.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. My brain was like, that's it. My brain was like, it's over. Jesus. Scary. What's really great about this card is that as good as this co-main is going to be, it has a fucking banger of a main event going down in the lightweight division, that being Arman Tsarukyan taking on Mateusz Gamrot. My goodness, this is the kind of fight that when this fight is announced, the MMA purists, we start sweating and our hearts start beating, because these are 2 guys who are both young, up and coming guys in the lightweight division who are just absolute killers. So, Mark, let me ship this over to you first. Give us your honest assessment of Tsarukyan versus Gamrot, and then give us a pick, Mark.
I'll do that. Tsarukyan is a significant favorite here. He's minus 290. Gamrot is plus 230. This is such an interesting fight. Both guys have really managed to make waves in this lightweight division, which is a division historically that it's been kind of hard for guys to break through here. And there's a bunch of these guys right now. We got like 5-6 young guys who are really knocking right on that door in the lightweight division. And the winner of this is going to be in a pretty spot. They're going to, especially with this being a main event, there's going to be a lot of recognition for the winner of this fight. But what my mind keeps going back to when I break this down, as much as I love the matchup, I think it's going to be competitive, is that Mateusz Gamrot is the kind of good that's like always in a fight, always dangerous, seems to find a way. Whereas Arman is the kind of good my God, he's so damn good. Like, who is going to beat that guy?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only guy who's done it, if we ignore the second fight of Arman's entire career, which is his only other loss, then the only guy who's done it was Islam Makhachev. And it was a freaking close fight. And it was in Arman's UFC debut. So it's hard not to lean toward him here, at least for me. I'm very interested to see which one of them shines more in the striking. But generally speaking, I expect this to be like a grindy, scrambly type of fight. I don't mean boring grindy. Maybe scrambly is the better word that I'm going for. And I trust Arman more in that type of fight cardio-wise. I think Gamrot has shown some signs before of maybe getting a little too crazy, starting to wear himself out a little bit, where Arman has never shown that. Obviously, it's a 5-round fight, so you got to factor that in. I think Arman is looking more well-rounded, both offensively and defensively, every time we see him. He's so heavy on top. I assume he will get there. Gamrot is filthy on the ground, but I'm not sure he's ever experienced someone as heavy as Arman will be. So I just think Arman is the more capable fighter at the moment. I think both these guys are still growing as fighters, but right now I think Arman is the better fighter. I'm going to say he finds a late finish, round 4 TKO for Arman Tsarukyan.
Omar.
Man, this fight is crazy, man. This fight really could go either way. Both of these guys are very, very active fighters. Both of these guys are not one of those types of fighters to take their foot off the brake up or off the pedal almost at any point. And that presents a lot of interesting moments. We're going to have a lot of clashes, a lot of moments where both of these guys are going to try to take control of the fight, and we're going to end up with a lot of scrambles. We're going to end up with a lot of moments where they might even stall each other having to do so. I honestly couldn't really pick one over the other. I think just for the sake of having some fun here, I'll go with Gamrot by decision. Split decision, if we're going to be accurate.
I mean, they're so evenly matched record-wise, attribute-wise. I think Tsarukyan is a little thicker of a guy. You think I'm wrong?
No, right? I think that's accurate.
Dude, there's something about Gamrot that looks like the kid is made out of steel, though. Like,
for sure,
it just doesn't seem like things hurt him properly. I don't know.
I mean, Gamrot is he undefeated? No, he's only lost once.
No,
he's never been submitted.
Kutateladze.
Yeah, and it was a contentious split.
Jeez, man.
I feel like I remember that I did think Guram won, but maybe I'm wrong. I remember it was very, very close.
He's never been submitted. He's never been hurt, or he's never been knocked out. But God, it's just impossible to pick this fight. It's just impossible.
Stylistically, it's ridiculous.
I mean, it's 20-1 against 18-2. Is that right? Yeah.
But it's also the way they fight. The way they fight is so. It just clashes so well with one another that it's very difficult to sort of line up how one person would really defeat the other. Because both of them have the tools to do it.
That's why I'm so interested in the striking. Because if they come out and you're like, oh, like so-and-so is getting the better of these exchanges, I could actually see that being like a large factor, even though they're primarily grapplers.
Okay. As much as I want to say, because both of these guys are so dangerous that it's going to end in a finish, I'm going to say that these guys are going to respect each other, and also plus their skill level is going to go the distance. It's going to go all 5 rounds. And I will give the edge to Arman Tsarukyan, and I think he's going to get the UD. God, that's tough to pick.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who fucking knows?
That's a rough fight, man.
Hey, what are the odds again?
Great fight. Minus 290 for Arman, plus 230 for Gamrot.
Well, all right.
It's actually it's quite a bit, actually.
I was just going to say, I think
plus 290 is kind of a lot there.
Yeah, a little wider than I thought. That's another one I thought would maybe be like 2-1.
Makes it a little bit more of an enticing bet on Gamrot, no?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, boys, we've done it. We've done it again.